Hello, my wonderful friends. Mega's back for part 2 of part 1. And I'm loving this story so much. So we're going to pick up where we're introduced to Aunt Helen. Enjoy. I love you guys.
Aunt Helen was my favorite person in the whole world. My Aunt Helen lived with a family for the last few years of her life because something very bad happened to her. Nobody would tell me what happened. I always wanted to know. I stopped asking about it because my Aunt Helen started crying so hard. That's when my dad slapped me saying, "You're hurting your aunt's feelings. I don't want you to do that," so I stopped. Aunt Helen told my father, "Do not hit him in front of me ever again." And my father said, "This is my house and I'll do what I want." And my mom was quiet. I noticed that he repeats things, this author. He wants you to get, he says that over and over again throughout this book. And my mom was quiet. I don't remember much other than I started crying. That's a recurring theme. He cries. He's got all this emotion and feelings and trying to understand. And he doesn't have an outlet other than for him. So far it's crying and violence. Talks about his Aunt Helen and him were best friends. There's a bully at school named Sean. And he waits for him after class. He's going to give him a swirly. That doesn't go over good with Charlie. As we get to know Charlie here, Charlie's not the kind of kid you give a swirly to. He went for the knees, the throat, and the eyes. I really hurt Sean. And then I started crying. That's so Charlie. He cries a lot. And you can, I think the reason they show that is because this is high school. You don't cry in high school. I didn't cry. I cry more now in my 50s, right? I mean, cry over, I mean, not bawling, crying, but a good example. I was just outside, took the dog's potty. It was the most beautiful mountain spring day, and it made me emotional. All the buds are coming out on the trees, and the tree, I told you guys I moved back into my family home here, and the tree that in the fall time, all the leaves would fall and would pile it up, and the kids would jump in, and I could hear them laughing and giggling. It's like I could see them. And my little bottom lip started to tremble. So beautiful. There's another little Japanese maple tree. We called it Charlie. He's so sweet. I love this little tree. It looks like a bonsai. And its little maple leaves are coming out. And I just held them in my hand. And I felt like Charlie's hand was in my hand. It touched my heart. And I put my face up to the sun and I said, "Thank you, sun, for your life-giving rays." It felt so beautiful on me. And I took the time to be thankful. Think about everything the sun gives us. Life, right? Everything growing is because of the sun. There would be no life without that beautiful sun. It felt so good. The willow tree, it's got those long branches, and my kids would hold it and swing like Tarzan on it. And it made me emotional. And the birds that sing for us, make music just for me, I feel like. It's just overwhelming. Beautiful world. I don't know, how do we get to that from beating the shit out of the bullies? I don't even know. I got lost in my story. So we're back in, he beats up his bully. He says he didn't get suspended because a kid told Mr. Small the truth about the fight. Sean started it, and it was just self-defense. And it was. I just don't understand why Sean wanted to hurt me. I didn't do anything to him. I'm very small, that's true. But I guess Sean didn't know I could fight. The truth is I could have hurt him a lot worse, and maybe I should have. I thought I might have to if he came after the kid who told Mr. Small the truth. but Sean never did go after him, so everything was forgotten. You know, it's funny, I was just thinking about my little maple, Charlie, and the protagonist of our story is named Charlie. I think that's beautiful. We're about to see some other similarities here that blew my mind coming up. He says, some kids look at me strange in the hallway because I don't decorate my locker. And I'm the one who beat up Sean and couldn't stop crying after he did it. I guess I'm pretty emotional. It has been very lonely. Just in these few pages, was that page 8? Can I take a drink right here? Don't look at the name brand. Though it's getting dry and sore. Kind of funny story. The only strike I've had against my channel where they tried to shut down my channel, I couldn't upload, was because of that company. I guess I'm not allowed to talk about them, and so they tried to shut down my whole channel. But I still love their products, and I love the founders of it, and the people that taken over it aren't like the founders. Still good stuff, though. Oh, but in this small amount of time, I feel like I know Charlie. There's things in me and Charlie that I see so similar, so familiar. Are you guys getting that? Lonely, emotional, confused. Why was this kid wanting to hurt me? I didn't deserve it. I think he started crying because he had to fight. Why did he have to make him fight? Why does they have to bring him into this hurt and this anger? Right? Why can't everyone get along? I love this part. Did this blow your mind when you came across this? I like to read books. The book To Kill a Mockingbird, if you haven't read it, I think you should. So that blew my mind. We just got done with book club with To Kill a Mockingbird. And he talks about, he's reading To Kill a Mockingbird right now, and he's suggesting you read it. I agree. He said he likes to read books twice through. I like to do that. The teacher wants him to read just chapters at a time. He can't do that. He's got to read it all and read it twice. I read books twice. And now here, I'm feeling more of this connection with Charlie. It's weird. He says, I have finished To Kill a Mockingbird. It is now my favorite book of all time. But then again, I always think that until I read another book. So he always thinks it's his favorite book till he reads the next book. Again, we've talked about this on this channel. It's like, get out of my head, Charlie. His advanced English teacher, Bill, gives him another book to read. This Bill becomes more than a teacher to him. He becomes a mentor, a friend, someone to confide in, a good teacher. I never had a teacher like that. I've always wanted someone like that in my life. I've never had it. As I'm trying to think, did I? I never did. And I think that's why I've kind of become, though, who I am, because I wanted to create that, because I felt like it's missing in the world, and I try to be that to whoever needs it. I think of, like, with my book, Asha. I wanted a book like Asha, but I couldn't find it. So I wrote it. So I feel like I'm putting into the world what I felt it was lacking. So I like this teacher, Bill. Bill says he has great skill at reading and understanding language. He wanted me to write an essay about To Kill a Mockingbird. Isn't that cool, guys, though, that To Kill a Mockingbird, we just finished that, and then we go into this book and it references it. I think it's beautiful. He talks about his family. His sister is really pretty and mean to boys. Talks about her boyfriend is always making mixed tapes. And that's something I love in books, when they mix music. So just in this time, remember in high school how important music was? My God, music was everything. Like, I still think back about different summers in my life with different friends and girlfriends and being out by the lake and what songs we were listening to. You know, and it's just, It's a part of you. And the lyrics are a way of a younger people, a way for us to express ourselves. The music seems to say what we're feeling and didn't know how to express, be it in lyric or just pounding bass. It's just something beautiful about it. And this whole book, it's mixed with music. And I love it when they talk, when they actually in books talk about songs. I was looking up different Smith songs in here, and of course Landslide and all the different music they talk about. I like to do that, and I'll listen to the songs. Helps really get me into their mindset. This is funny. Not funny, but I wish I would have known this when I was in high school. I didn't understand girls. Still don't. I'm single. But, obviously I don't know what's going on. I do not give marital advice, relationship, like man-woman advice. I don't know, guys. Good luck. I love you. I'm not a good teacher in that area. So his sister is just ripping into her boyfriend, and she has no respect for him, right? He made her a mixtape. She just gave it to Charlie, right? She doesn't respect him. He gets mad, smacks her in the face, and she just falls in love with him. It's like Charlie's mad, ready to go to war. She pushes him out and wants to go make out or something, right? She likes that. And that he stood up to, she was saying he won't stand up to his bullies. He stood up to her. She was his bully, right? And it reminded me, and this is horrible advice, guys. I know this, even though I know nothing about love, that romantic love. I know this is wrong, but there's something to this, and they explain it really well here later. But my cousin, I bow to him. He had the most beautiful girlfriends, always lining up. And he told me the secret is treat them like shit and they'll love you forever. I'll never forget that. I couldn't do that. I worshiped the girls, and they treated me like shit, and they explained why that is. But I didn't agree with him, but his way worked, but I didn't feel it was right. So I'd rather not have all the beautiful girls and follow my heart and be lonely, And so here he smacks her and she's in love. Let's see. And I know you're thinking, well, that's ridiculous. They explain more into this, the psyche behind this kind of thinking. And it's not right, and there's a great quote in here about this. So don't lose heart. This book isn't promoting violence, Let's see. We get introduced to nothing. Oh my gosh. So Patrick, or Nothing, when he started school there, the kids were calling him, I think it was Patty, and he said, call me Patrick or Nothing. And they lashed onto that, okay, Nothing, and it's stuck all this time. And then I love how Charlie always goes, hilarious, right? Every time something's funny, he goes, hilarious. That's hilarious. Let's see. His sister asked for her mixtape back now. Hilarious. Oh, goodness. Let's flip ahead here a little bit. So these are long parts. But again, we're doing this with playlists, so you can get read and caught up and then come anytime. And then still go to the comments, though, because I read them and I love sharing that, even if you come a few days late. Are there still people back in the Little Paris bookshop at the beginning going to the comments? I love it. I'm reliving it with them. It's fun. Oh, so he's at a football game, right? He's lonely. He has this dream of having friends, right? And he sees nothing. And so he walks over and says, hey, you're in my shop class. He's a very friendly person. I'm Charlie, I said, not too shy. I think he kind of surprised himself. I'm Patrick, and this is Sam. And he pointed to a pretty girl sitting next to him, and she waved to me. I'm always going to see these characters. I watched the movie first several times. I love the movie, why I wanted to read the book. So I visualize the characters of the movie. So we just met Sam, which is Hermione from Harry Potter, right? So he sits down with them. They take him out afterwards to Big Boy to get some pie and just hang out and talk. And he's feeling seen. They're asking him, how old are you? What do you want to do when you grow up? Who's your favorite band? What's your favorite movie? What's your favorite book? He's already changed his favorite book. He says, This Side of Paradise by F. Scott Fitzgerald. Why? Because it's the one I last read, right? So they're getting to know him. It's a real relationship. You know, when he liked that they don't have inside jokes amongst themselves where he feels left out. They bring him in. It's that found family. Oh, let's see. Okay, so is this one? So it says, the thing is, some girls think they can actually change guys. And what's funny is that if they actually did change them, they'd get bored. They'd have no challenge left. I'm starting to understand some of this. And then when he talks to Bill, I think this is one of the most beautiful quotes in here. Oh, so he's talking to Bill again, his mentor teacher, asking him questions. And he tells him about the boy with the mixtapes that hit his sister. And Bill says something to him that Charlie says he'll never forget. He says, we accept the love we think we deserve. Right? And you see that in abusive relationships. So, people say, well, why don't you just leave? Well, because deep down inside, they think that's all the love. That's all they deserve. That's all there is. Right? They can't quite picture something higher, something better. And I think this is good, not just for romantic relationships, but for our governments. Can we maybe think higher? Even our gods and our religion. Can we come up with better gods that just don't get angry, jealous, hate war, kill men, women, and children, stone your children, slaves? Can we do better? I think we can come up with something better. It says, do you always think this much, Charlie? Is it bad? I just want someone to tell me the truth. He says it's not necessarily bad that you think so much. It's just that sometimes people use thought to not participate in life. Is that bad? Yes. He tells me, when you get out there, if you go to a dance, you need to dance. You need to participate. Be in the now, right? Live. Get out of your head. I think that's what Charlie's going to have to do. Get out of his head. He's stuck in his head. He's stuck in a nightmare in his own head. Not all of his own doing. Oh, let's see. Is this a wild book, guys? I mean, this is just the first part, and we've picked some good ones. We've picked some great books, all very different, all amazing. Makes me think our next book, how are we going to keep up with this? Can it keep this good? Okay. Sister finds out, because Bill now goes to Charlie's parents. It's his duty. He has to reveal that, his sister, their daughter got hit, and so his sister looks at Charlie and says, I hate you, and means it. But again, we see Charlie's heart, though. Her sister, okay, so let me just read this part. I think I'll screw it up. My mom went into the kitchen to make my sister's favorite thing to eat. My sister looked at me. I hate you. My sister said it differently than she said it to my dad. She meant it with me. She really did. I love you was all I could say in return. You're a freak. You know that? You've always been a freak. Everyone says so. They always have. I'm trying not to be. Right? Do you fall in love with this guy? She says, I hate you. He says, I love you. She says, you're a freak. He says, I'll try harder. I'm trying not to be, Oh, it just breaks your heart. Then I turned around and walked to my room, closed my door, and put my head under my pillow and let the quiet put things where they are supposed to be. When I read that, I almost cried because when I was in high school, I would put the pillow over my face to try to stop the noise. I had OCD so bad. I won't get into the whole thing. I had it so bad from being raised Christian. I was so scared of God. I was so confused that my heart and everything I felt and knew in my heart was right was different against what the Bible said. And they said, you can't question the Bible. They said that was God. And then I was scared of blasphemy. They said you'd be separated, sent to hell forever. And then I'm having these thoughts. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, did I blaspheme? And I'm trying to figure it out. And I'd get stuck in these OCD loops. And then sometimes I'd just lay there for hours with that pillow over my head, trying to stop that noise, trying to find that quiet spot, that true spot, that real spot, that good spirit, that truth, that what I now know as Asha. Oh, and when I read that about the pillow, I can't even talk. My heart broke, and I wanted to cry for him and me. I wish I was the teacher that could have ministered to myself when I was young. I had nobody, still have nobody, but I have spirit now. I got that direct connection to that mind, that God mind, that vohumenu, that always speaks truth and love. And I'll share a little something with you. Got it from Meister Eckhart. Any talk of God that doesn't comfort you is a lie. That's beautiful. If it ain't good, it ain't God. If I would have just known that, my pillow wouldn't have been so wore out. Speaking of God, Charlie says, I do believe in God very much. I just never gave God a name. That's pretty smart there. Makes me think of that Sufi poet, Rafia. She said she wept out for years, crying out to God, and he never answered. Then she heard that little voice. Would you answer if someone was calling you by the wrong name? She said, so I made up a pet name for him. I don't share it with anyone else. All I can say is it works. He came. He's here. Beautiful. What name do you have for God? You know me, I like to use Asha, spirit, good spirit, truth, love. So now this struck me as funny because this is just the part of the book where I was really connecting with Charlie, with all that we just went through. And I'm thinking, I see myself so much in Charlie. And then I read this. I was all, what? How this book, how does it do this? He says, it's strange because sometimes I read a book and I think I am the people in the book. That blew me away. Oh, I love this part. So Sam has a pickup truck that she loves because it reminds her of her dad. And he's sitting in between his new best friends, feeling all the good feels that Charlie deserves to feel. Safe, heard. I see him with friends on both sides, like you're just a big hug of love and friendship in this sentimental truck. And they're listening to music that means so much to them. And they got their arms waving outside the window like we do as kids and 53-year-olds. And he says for the first time, I feel infinite. Oh, I love that. We should all feel that. And Sam and Patrick looked at me. Like I said, the greatest thing, let me start that over. I think I messed that up. And Sam and Patrick looked at me. I said, like the greatest thing they ever heard, because the song was that great and because we all really paid attention to it. 5 minutes of a lifetime were truly spent and we felt young in a good way. Did that come out? I messed up my reading somehow, but Do you feel that? He's talking about it just all feels right for that 5 minutes they truly spent present with the music and what's happening and the feelings. And they were young in a good way. He says, I have since bought the record and would tell you what it was, but truthfully, it's not the same unless you were driving to your first real party and you're sitting in the middle seat of a pickup with two nice people when it starts to rain. Right? I think that's why sometimes some songs mean more to us, or some books, and not as much to other people. It's because of all that it represented to you at that time where you felt infinite. They go to the party and he ate a brownie and it tasted a little weird. Oh, and he gets hungry. So Sam's making him a milkshake. Sam and I got up to the kitchen and she turned on the light. I love this. I love this kind of visual. I've experienced this. And have you? She says, went in the kitchen, she turned on the light. Wow. It was so bright, I couldn't believe it. It was like when you see a movie in the theater during the day, and when you leave the movie, you can't believe that it's still daylight outside. Do you remember that? He hears a commotion as he comes out of the bathroom in another room. He opens the door and he sees Patrick kissing Brad. Brad's freaked out. Brad is the quarterback football player. Patrick, nothing. Walks up, puts his arm around Charlie, says, listen, Charlie, Brad doesn't want people to know. I need you to promise that you won't tell anyone. This will be our little secret, okay? Okay, thank you. He goes back in, gets his milkshake. He says, I have to say it was the best milkshake I ever had in my life. It was so delicious, it almost scared me. Oh, that brought me back to memories. My best friend was a pothead, so I know about food. It's just like, oh my God. Before we left the party, Sam played me a few of her favorite songs. And again, as you read these, look up the songs on your YouTube and listen to them. It's fun. They call them, for the first time, a wallflower. He says, you see things, you keep quiet about them, and you understand. Let's see here. Okay, this is sweet. So Sam and Patrick introduce Charlie to all their other friends, and he introduced Charlie as their friend. And he broke down crying again. He cries a lot, very emotional, because it just dawned on him, hearing it out loud. He wanted friends. He wanted not to be alone in the world. And when he heard someone else say it, this is our friend. Oh, do you feel that? So sweet. And then this is that part. Bob raised his drink and asked everyone to do the same. To Charlie. And the whole group said, to Charlie. And I don't know why they did that, but it was very special to me. And they did. Especially Sam. Especially her. Oh, Charlie does love that Sam, that Hermione. Sam did look very pretty in her dress, but I was trying not to notice her because I'm trying not to think of her that way. Again, is he sweet? He's trying not to sexualize her. He thinks too much of her. Beautiful. What a heart. I think we skipped over that part, but you remember earlier in the story, he had a dream about Hermione and he felt so guilty about it. He had to tell her and started crying, and she assured him it's okay. Oh, Charlie. Have you noticed we always get different names for the characters in our books? So now Sam is probably going to turn into Hermione here. Let's see. I did notice that Brad and Patrick never talked once during the whole dance because Brad was off dancing with a cheerleader named Nancy, who is his girlfriend. And I did notice my sister was dancing with a boy she wasn't supposed to, even though a different boy picked her up at the house. So she had someone else pick her up at the house, but now she's dancing with mixtape, right, that hit her. Makes me think again, what was that quote about we accept the love we think we deserve or something like that? After the dance, we left in Sam's pickup. I love this part. Patrick was driving this time. As we were approaching the Fort Pitt Tunnel, Sam asked Patrick to pull to the side of the road. I didn't know what was going on. Sam then climbed in the back of the pickup, wearing nothing but her dance dress. She told Patrick to drive, and he got this smile on his face. I guess they had done this before. Anyway, Patrick started driving really fast, and just before we got to the tunnel, Sam stood up and the wind turned her dress into ocean waves. When we hit the tunnel, all the sound got scooped up into a vacuum, and it was replaced by a song on the tape player, a beautiful song called Landslide. When we got out of the tunnel, Sam screamed, this really fun scream, and there it was, downtown, lights on buildings and everything that make you wonder. Sam sat down and started laughing. Patrick started laughing. I started laughing. And in that moment, I swear we were infinite. Love always, Charlie. Oh, guys, that takes us to part 2. I feel this book in everything that I am, and I'm not sure why, other than I guess you guys after 8 years have discovered I'm kind of emotional, but this is hitting me in such a deep way where I'm probably going to have to go lay down on the couch and just think about it. Do a little shadow work. What is all this? Why do I feel so much with this? Feel so deeply with this story of Charlie? First thing I come to is just that I found you guys. You guys are my Sam and Patrick. I feel safe sitting between you. I feel the big hug of friendship. I'm moved that I no longer in that place where I have to put a pillow over my head anymore. And I hope this gives hope to people that are maybe still at that place. Maybe you don't have the friends yet. Maybe you still have a pillow on your head right now. It gets better. Good things coming. You will play happy music again. And know I love you.